There's just something so weird about leaving your house and in your mind knowing you're not coming back to it. Like, something was just telling me we were not coming back to our house. So what's up, guys? I'm Angel, and I just thought I would share a little story time today. There was a hurricane that hit this year, and it was called Hurricane Florence. Hurricanes do some damage. So let me just start telling you the story about how Hurricane Florence seriously changed my family. So we had only been living in our house for 3 months. On September 10th, Hurricane Florence was moved up to a Category 5 hurricane. And everyone in our town was told that we need to evacuate because we were in the direct path of Hurricane Florence. Since my husband's in the military, we had to wait until the chain of command told us that it was okay to leave. So we were still waiting to be told that we could leave and go home from the hurricane, which just the process of waiting is really, really stressful, especially when you know there is a hurricane coming. There is really nothing left after a Category 5 hurricane. So when they said that our area was going to get hit by a Category 5 hurricane, I literally, I was like, our house is going to be gone when we get back. And I just I don't know, there was just something telling me that our house was not going to be okay. And so I went into every single room of my house and I looked at every room and I was like, okay, what in this room cannot be replaced? And anything that I thought was sentimental and could not be replaced, I grabbed and I put in a book bag. And we didn't have we had enough room in our car for our kids, our pets. So I have 2 cats that we put in a cage, and then I have my dog. And then, so we didn't really have that much room for anything else. And we only had 1 working car at this time. Basically, I had grabbed a bunch of my kids' stuff. I grabbed their baby quilts, baby blankets, any their clothes they wore home from the hospital, and yeah, and then I grabbed toys that I knew that they loved. So I grabbed my daughter, my 6-month-old Song Bear, and then I grabbed my 2-year-old's little playhouse because those things are their favorite toys. So I tried to keep as much of their stuff as I could because I'm like, I don't really care about me at this point. This is my kids' childhood and I don't want them to lose their little bit of childhood they have. They're gonna want to look back at this stuff and be like, oh yeah, I used to have this when I was a baby or whatever, So I was really concerned about losing their stuff more so than mine. And then I packed up as many clothes as I could because I'm like, I don't know how long we're gonna be away from our home. It was really confusing because it's we could be gone for a week, we could be gone for a month. It is really up in the air. So I was packing for the unknown, which is weird. It's just a weird feeling packing up and not knowing when you're coming back to your house. There's just something so weird about leaving your house in your mind knowing you're not coming back to it. Something was just telling me we were not coming back to our house. And I was just looking at our house that I had just set up because we had just moved and we had only been there 3 months. So I had finally got the house to look the way I liked it, and it was homey and it felt good. There was a good energy in the house. And then just to sit there and look at our couch, our TV, our bed, and just looking at all the stuff we bought with our money, we saved up to buy, and just looking at it and going, I'm never gonna come back to this house. All of our stuff that is left in this house is not gonna be here. And there was just something so sad about it, and it was just an unsettling feeling. And in my mind, I'm like, God, please protect our house. But in my mind, I'm also I know it's almost like God was preparing me that just be prepared. You're not coming back to this. And so anyway, I looked at our house and it was almost like I was saying bye to our house. And we get in the car and we're driving away. And I'm like, I really don't want to go, but we have to. We have 2 kids. We have no other choice. So we started the drive to our safe zone. We evacuated on September 11th, and you should have saw the traffic because there was mandatory evacuations pretty much everywhere around us. We were we were basically in the direct path of the storm, in the extreme zone, I guess is what you would call it. We were in the extreme zone. So everyone and their mama was trying to evacuate. basically, my husband was smart beforehand because we knew the traffic was going to be horrible, and we're trying to get as far away from the storm as we possibly could. So my husband looked up back roads, and we took back roads all the way to our safe zone, which was my grandma's house. Let me tell you, Hurricane Florence affected all of North Carolina. Like, even if you were in the safe area, you were still getting hit by something. Like, I know there were some trees that went down even in the area that we were safe in. So it wasn't like people weren't getting hit, because by the time it got to where we were in our safe zone, it had become a tropical storm. So you're still getting hit with that heavy rain, and it was still bringing down power lines and trees. Anyway, so then we get to our safe zone, and we get there, and the entire time I'm just grumpy because I'm like, I don't want to be here. I want to go back to our house. Our daughter just started sleeping good in her room, and now we're all in my old bedroom in this little tiny room, all 4 of us, 2 cats and a dog in this little tiny room. And my husband had to sleep on a cot, and it was just a mess. Like, the whole thing was a mess. So when we evacuated, the storm was a Category 5. When we got to the place that we evacuated to, our safe zone, it downgraded to a Category 1. So when they said that the hurricane was only a Category 1, I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much that it's only a Category 1. We might lose like a shingle or something, but it'll be fine. Like, our house, it's gonna survive. It's gonna be there. So I started seeing a little bit of hope. But then this storm was unlike any other storm, because Hurricane Florence was moving so slow. You literally could walk faster than this storm was moving. And so the storm was moving so slow that it just kind of hovered over our area. And we were on the side of the storm that was the strongest. So all the wind, all the rain, and it's moving slow. It's just hovering over our town. And our town was built on a swampland. So all that rain just kept coming down. And I just remember we were watching the news, and they would never show our area. They were showing like New Bern, because New Bern was really, really flooded. It was destroyed. Like, New Bern was underwater. And it was showing Wilmington, because Wilmington is a bigger city, but they weren't showing the little towns like where we live. And so the only way I could keep up with things that were happening in our little town was I would have to go on Facebook, and I would just search my town's name and then follow people who stayed behind, because believe it or not, some people did stay behind even after an emergency evacuation. And it wasn't because they're dumb. It's literally because some people had nowhere to go. We were talking to some lady at Bojangles, and we asked her if she was evacuating. She said she had nowhere to go and that she was going to have to stay. And I thought that was so sad that literally we were blessed to at least have somewhere to go to safety. These people had nowhere. So I would follow people who had stayed behind. I would follow their like pictures and stuff. And then I saw someone post on Facebook that they needed rescuing, and they posted their address. So I looked it up, and they were we're in this cul-de-sac, and they were in this cul-de-sac. And they said they needed help and they needed rescuing because everyone's houses were underwater, and they were the only house not. And then she took a picture outside her window, and the water was up past the air conditioning unit and like hitting. If you were in, our house is a 1-story house. She's in a 2-story house, but our house is a 1-story house, and the water was up past the air conditioning unit, up at a little above the windows. Oh my gosh. So I started crying because I'm like, oh my gosh, our house is dead. Like, our house died. It's underwater. And it's like one of those things where it's like surreal. You're like, is this happening to me? Like, am I really going through this right now? Like, is my house really gone? Is all my stuff really gone? Like, what do you do? So my husband, he is so smart, and he instantly called the insurance company. He started filing claims. Even though we didn't physically see our house, we knew that it was underwater. And so my husband jumped on it. He started calling FEMA and setting all this stuff up. And then I remember I kept looking on on Facebook, and then someone else in our neighborhood said that they needed rescuing and that they had a baby and they were on a roof of their house, because that's how intense the water was. Oh my gosh, it's so scary to think about, because I'm like, what if we had stayed and that was us with our baby and our 2-year-old on top of a roof to get away from the water? Like, that is so scary to think about. It was literally a week before we could even get to our house to see the damage and to go ahead and like take pictures to send to the insurance company and stuff, because 3 days after Florence moved out, our house was sitting in water for 3 days. The people we were renting from couldn't even get into the neighborhood to assess the damage because it was still underwater. So it was 3 days of it sitting in water. And then on top of that, we had to wait a week before we could get home because all the roads were closed, because roads were broken. Like there were giant sinkholes, like roads just kind of washed away. And I don't know, it was just horrible. So we had to wait until certain roads were open to get to our house. So we had to come back to our house, and we're 4 hours away. So my grandparents were watching my kids so that my husband and I could come and look and take pictures and try to save whatever we could save at that point. And believe me, there wasn't a lot to save. There was cops everywhere because they had roads closed. So they were trying to tell you how to get to where you were going. So it took us from a 4-hour drive, a 6-hour drive just to get to our house. And then when we finally got to our house, all of our neighbors were already outside, like pulling stuff out of the house. And I went and talked to one of my neighbors across the street, and they told me that they had to be rescued by the Cajun Navy, had to come and rescue them. And then they told me that another family in our neighborhood had to be rescued by helicopter. And they said that they woke up at 6 a.m. and they stepped out of bed into water in their house. And I'm just thinking that is so, like, I'm so thankful that we evacuated, because if that hurricane never hit a category 5, and if they had always said it was going to be a category 1, we would have stayed, and we would have been needing to be rescued, and it would have been traumatizing for my kids. Even though it was only a category 5 for 1 day, I'm thankful for that 1 day it was a category 5, just so that we evacuated, because had it been a category 1, we would have stayed. That's why I don't believe the categories. Hurricanes are dangerous no matter what category. It was almost like our neighbors, we all came together because we were all in the same situation. We knew what each other was going through. So we kind of came together, and I love my neighbors. Like, they're the best ever. And I'm so thankful that I met them, because I just met like a bunch of great people. Anyway, so we go into the house, and the water line was above the window, and it actually came up above my daughter's twin bed. So that's how high the water came in our house. And before we left for the evacuation, I had set as much stuff up high as I could just in case there was a flood. And I actually took my 2-year-old loves to read. So I took all her books and I put them inside my washing machine. And because I did that, I saved a whole bunch of their toys. I saved all of her books. None of her books were destroyed, and I saved all her toys. The hardest part for me was walking into my daughter's room and seeing her bed and things that I didn't put up high ruined and gone. I couldn't do it. I couldn't clean out our house, because there's something about, like, I couldn't go through our house and throw away things that I wanted to keep. I am a very sentimental person, and I'm a slight hoarder. So going through our house and just being like, I can't keep this stuff and I have to throw it away, I couldn't do it. So after I went through and got everything that I could keep out, and then my mother-in-law, father-in-law, and my husband, they all went back to the house and they cleaned it out for me, because I couldn't do it. I really couldn't. It was breaking my heart. Yeah, so anyway, we got hit by the hurricane. Our stuff was all destroyed. But it ended up, it's okay. Like, we are okay. There's not, like, yeah, it sucked losing all our stuff, but it's just stuff. It's not us. It could have been us, like, on a roof. And I'm so thankful it wasn't us. But yeah, it's just stuff. And like you can see, I'm crazy. So I was like, okay, all of our stuff's ruined, but I'm still gonna get the exact same stuff we had before. So this is the bed that we had in our old house, not the exact same one. This is a new bed. It's the same model. I have the same couch that we had in our old house. And so we are rebuilding, and I don't know if you've noticed in most of my videos, our walls and things, we don't have a lot of stuff. But it's okay, because what better time to become a minimalist than now? I'm just kidding. Everyone lost stuff. Almost everyone's houses were destroyed in some kind of way. It wasn't just us. And let me tell you, if that hurricane didn't happen, I wouldn't be doing this right now, because of that hurricane, I just stopped caring. I'm like, what is the point? Like, you work all your life, you save up all this money, and then you buy all this stuff, and then it just gets washed away. And I'm like, do what you want to do. I've been thinking about doing YouTube for years, but I was always scared to do it. And so after the hurricane, I'm like, there's no point being scared. Like, just live your life, do you. And if you want to make a YouTube video, make a YouTube video. If you don't, and do something that you love, there's no point being scared. Life's too short to be scared. And so yeah, that's the lesson I learned from this hurricane. And people, I've realized how generous people are. People have gone out of their way to help us, and it's amazing. And I'm so thankful for those people who did help us, and you guys know who you are. Shout out to you guys. But yeah, thank you for helping us if you did during our tough time. And yeah, so anyway, that is our hurricane story. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe, please leave a comment, and that's all. Love you guys.